The sister of Lori Vallow, Summer Shiftlet, she issued a Facebook statement, and this has been picked up and put around, and so far it seems to be pretty on brand with the rest of this crowd. I'm just going to review the statement, go over some of my thoughts and commentary on it. Now, the first few lines are her talking about, how the last week and all these times have been very painful. She starts off by saying how hard the last few months have been, how excruciating the last week was, and obviously how horrible it was to lose Tylee and JJ. Now, right after that, the second paragraph, she goes into this entire paragraph about how the first thing she did when she found this out was to pray for law enforcement and the people who were involved in basically finding JJ and Tylee and going through that process. For me, reading between the lines of this really set the tone for this piece. To me, it felt kind of preachy, and it just didn't sound like the natural first reaction that someone might have, especially coming back later and writing something out. I kind of figured we would have heard about the kids first. That being said, it's not my experience, so I'll have to say that. I don't know how I'd react in it. I continue to pray for those who are on the scene, remove the remains, and have to analyze them to try to piece together what this poor baby's endured. I feel for those who do this work, and I am grateful they are willing to do this to help bring peace and closure to families. The next thing she goes into is essentially like a shout out to the Woodcocks for ordering the wellness checks. Now, she wasn't really too keen on the Woodcocks before, so this part is very interesting. She also, in her previous interview, was so confident that everybody was wrong. So it's interesting to see how this narrative is now turned around in this, and the people that she seemed to be coming for, she's now praying for and doing this and that. In one of the further paragraphs she writes, "We have prayed for the truth to come to light, but we never thought it would look like this. Believe me when I say this has looked very different from my perspective than what the public has seen. It's easy to jump on a bandwagon when you don't personally know all the people involved. When you have been up close and personal, you can't discount your own interactions and just go by what everyone else says and thinks." We see this with this whole nest of them. They all talk about this truth, but earlier, in this whole episode of this case, they were also convinced of something and not willing to look at anything else. So it's almost like they were doing in reverse what they're saying everybody else is doing. I don't discount that people are going to have a different experience. We, the public, are seeing things from the outside. We don't know what's going on inside. But as the evidence starts to come out more and more and more, you see the inconsistencies in not only behavior, but like what people are saying who are involved in this. So then when they come out with this stuff where you see a lot of self-serving stuff, a lot of self-righteous stuff, and then just this whole narrative of, oh, let me forgive, almost like they're screaming to be forgiven themselves. But this group's need to go public with all of this stuff constantly will ferret the truth out eventually. Next, she writes, "I know there are people waiting for me to admit I was wrong. If that's all you want to know, here it is. I was wrong. I am an extremely imperfect person that loves my family with all my heart, and I wanted to believe the best in them, and I held out hope for the best possible outcome. I have always said things truthfully as I understood them, and will continue to do that as I learn new information." I understand that her experience in this might be that she's getting a lot of people coming to her saying, "Ah ha ha, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong." But I would argue this isn't about being like right or wrong in that. For me, this is more of a question of why. Why weren't some of the things going on questioned before it got to this level? Why weren't some of the behaviors taking place with the children, with Charles, all this stuff, the way that Lori and Chad and, all these people were coming at each other, why wasn't this questioned? I just get the vibe that they are more concerned about looking wrong and having to save face, really, than anyone else is more concerned about. It's more about the kids and not her. Now, the next aspects of this letter goes into what this whole nest has become famous for, and that is preaching a sermon that they don't understand themselves. It just seems like they're all so hungry to teach, but none of them have been able to actually absorb the lesson that they're trying to teach everybody else. Nobody has appointed any of these people as lesson teachers. Maybe in their personal life somebody has come to them and say, "Hey, teach me this." fine, go for it. But this whole general public thing of, oh, now we have a platform to come out here and try and teach everybody something. No, this is too fresh. Learn it yourself. And then if people come to you talking about, what was your experience like? How did you handle this? Okay, we're asking for this now. But pushing this narrative out there constantly with every chance they get, again, it just speaks to the self-serving, self-righteous aspect of all these people involved in this. Now she writes, while I'm nowhere close to perfect, I strive to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. I want to show love to everyone regardless of their imperfections. I do not find any joy in condemning people or in the mob mentality. There is no joy in finding out about my precious niece and nephew. Now to me it sounds like she's writing this to almost say like, look, y'all are just you're getting joy out of finding out that something happened with the children like this because you can say told you so. Maybe there are some sick people out there like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, my perspective is no, this isn't about told you so, told you so. I mean, at the end of the day, again, it's about children, and they're no longer here. And that's the most devastating aspect, not the fact that somebody could say they told you so. Now, I've been around enough people to recognize people who cannot handle being told they're wrong or challenging their belief system. And that's, again, I keep reverting back to that. That is what this reeks of. It's just people who cannot handle, I might have messed up. I might have made a wrong decision. We are human. We all make wrong decisions. This is part of the human experience. I do not trust the person who says otherwise. That is what we're here to do, is learn and grow and continue. And you know what they're like. You meet these people who cannot handle, whether it's being corrected, whether it is, just admitting a simple fault. And again, I feel like that's what we're seeing here. Now she goes into saying, she doesn't want to perpetuate hate and anger, and she's sending prayers out for healing for all those who knew Tylee and JJ, as well as for those that didn't know them. Now then she goes also into this whole little narrative of, I'm praying and, praying for healing for even those that have lashed out at me. To me, this is just another way of trying to pivot the narrative to make oneself look better than, to look more morally responsible and mature, if you will, than other people. Now she writes this, especially those who chose to lash out in anger over this. I pray for them especially, as I know when you are in pain from your own life circumstances, it is easy to act out in anger. I am trying my best not to do that. Now again, on brand, we go back into, more of the religious stuff that she's doing. And here's my thing, and if that happened, that's fine, that's lovely. I have found that most stable, balanced people don't have this need to run out and tell everybody about this stuff that isn't really asking for it. They usually absorb that lesson and then move on, and they have enough humbleness to know, don't push this on people unless they want it. Now, towards the end is the aspect of this letter that I'm like, okay, this is where we're getting. I would have liked to have seen this right off the rip. But instead it comes off as almost like an afterthought, so I'm going to read it. Tylee and JJ are completely irreplaceable in our family. I have loved them greatly all of their lives. There are no words that can capture this loss. Words are just inadequate. We have dozens of Tylee and JJ stories that we love and share frequently. We have prayed our hearts out for them and hoped with all of our hearts they were safe, but we sadly have to face this new reality and our family will never be the same. And the last paragraph goes as follows. Sadly, there's no way to go back and undo what has been done. We can only go forward. As much as we miss them here, I know my beautiful Ty and precious JJ are in a beautiful place with people they love. I am going to do my best to help what's left of my family to honor Ty and JJ by putting our trust in our Savior Jesus Christ, by trying to show an abundance of love and kindness and look into ways of helping victims of abuse, children suffering from chronic illnesses, and children on the autism spectrum. Now when she gets into this talking about the memories of Tylee and JJ, that to me speaks out more so than the other stuff. I'm not trying to discount that there are members in this family, Colby, the Woodcocks, people who did not, have anything or wanting to be involved in this, didn't really go along with anything they were seeing. I mean, I have no doubt that they're experiencing a lot of this stuff, and my heart goes out to them. But I think that the proof is in the pudding where we don't see them coming out preaching to all of us. I felt like if they opened up with that line, and really that's all they would need to say is, look, you know what, we've got a lot of memories that we're going to share about JJ and Tylee, this is devastating, we're going to come out and speak to y'all, but for right now respect our privacy while we're mourning. It would almost be a little bit more acceptable. Again, You know, am I the one who lost someone personally in this? No. So it's easy for me to sit here, you know, on the sofa and say what I might think, do, or act during that. So I just felt like this just had this underlying overall message of there is some other motivation behind it. And so time will tell, and we'll see. Now, if you want to see the rest of my videos on this case, just click over here. I appreciate you watching. I'll talk to you soon.